Battocletti from Italy takes the first gold medal here in Tilburg.
NADIA BATTOCLETTI is going to win for Italy.
NADIA BATTOCLETTI, why did we ever doubt her? It's victory, and it's clear victory.
4th consecutive gold medal for Italy's NADIA BATTOCLETTI. She does it, she completes the set.
Hasn't run much on the country this year, the Swiss athlete. Now we already have some fallers in the mud. Looks like one of the Italians has gone down. Yes, and one of the French athletes as well. Well, this is a very, very quick start to this race. They're trying to get to one of the sharp corners about 800 metres into this race.
Yes, and so they want to get a good position so they haven't got to work too hard around this turn, which is coming up fairly quickly. It's quite tight, and then they turn straight towards the water.
Well, it's Blokhuis from the Netherlands up there already, leading the way. Well, Battocletti has been pushing it quite hard over the last few hundred metres, and once again strung out the leading group. Battocletti had a run out here 2 weeks ago at the Luanda Loop. She finished 11th on that occasion, but I think she's learnt quite a lot from her experiences. Oh, and there's a big, well, slipping over. I think that took down about 3 people there, including Cotter. O'Brien managed to avoid that. Oh no, I think it was Healy who went down there.
I think so. I think Quirk also. Quirk got up very quickly. He perhaps not.
I think that's evidence of the slippy conditions. Let's look at it again. Yes, it was Healy who slipped, took down Quirk. Now Battocletti starting to push quite hard. So, not far away from the end of the second lap. So, plenty of water, plenty of rain, and the rain has just started to descend again. So, 1,000 metres left. 4:48 and 4:48 unofficially for the 2 laps. And it's the leading 3 is Battocletti at the front, as she's been through the vast majority of this race. Jasmine Lau. Got plenty of family and friends around the course, and there's a big Holland Hill out there where a lot of the Dutch fans are congregating. So Battocletti now really working hard. About 600-700 metres still to go. Jasmine Lau, Insi Kalkan of Turkey. That's the 1-2-3 at the moment. Turkish supporters alongside, giving Kalkan big cheers. Delia Sklarbas getting right up there. Now you can see all of them starting to work hard as Lau takes the lead. And huge cheers around the course. Well, the Dutch have never won a junior women's, under-20 women's gold medal. Jasmine Lau now really starting to stretch it out. 4th last year, and the leading athlete from the Samarin race to come back to Tilburg. Battocletti was 1 place behind her last year. It's looking at this stage as though they're both going to move up onto the podium. Kalkan and Sklarbas tracking them. Now a bit of daylight between the leading pair and the Turk and the Swiss runner. And just listen to those roars from the Dutch crowd, urging on Jasmine Lau. So they're coming into the final turn now. But Battocletti's gone past. Suddenly, Jasmine Lau looks starting to struggle, and Delia Sklarbas coming from a long way back now. Now that they can see the finish line coming into sight. It's Maria Battocletti from Italy, Delia Sklarbas from Switzerland. Lau suddenly starting to look very, very tired. About 160 metres into the home straight now. Battocletti can feel the gold medal almost being hung around her neck. Maria Battocletti from Italy takes the first gold medal here in Tilburg. 13:46 over this 4,300 metre course. 5th last year, NADIA BATTOCLETTI. I think I called her Maria a couple of times. NADIA BATTOCLETTI takes the gold medal for Italy. Maria Battocletti had enough in her legs to be able to go through the gears and come home in front. Well, outstanding run from the young Italian. And now the emotion of being a European champion starts to ebb through NADIA Battocletti. Deserved winner for Italy.
And just another word on the course. These junior women are starting with 2 short laps of 500 metres, and I'm nervous about this. It's tight turns. They're really not going to spread out much by the time they're negotiating some really tough turns. So I really am going to be holding my breath around some of these corners and hoping they can all get through unscathed.
Well, it's looking now that a gap's growing between the leading 5 and then the 2 Britons following them at about 20 and 30 metres. So it's Izzy Fry and 7th place. Megan Keith, I think, is in 2nd place, 7th place, just looking down the line there. But it's these leading 5 at the moment. We're about halfway into this race, starting to make quite an impact on the rest of the field. And it is Battocletti. Well, they're coming down the hill here. It looks as though Dudak is having a little bit of problems. Arm action, swinging side to side. She doesn't look quite as comfortable to pick out one of that leading 5.
I mean, people say running downhill is easy, but not hills like this. These are extreme hills, and I think there will be some technique coming in, particularly in this next section. It's going to come up a slight rise here, and then the drop down now is really quite severe, and I think a lot of athletes find that very hard to cope with.
Shoe and spike selection, what would be your choice?
Oh, I'd say this is probably a 9mm day. There's some slightly heavier sections, particularly in the start and the finish straight, and it's soft enough to take a 9mm, but you're not going to need a 12mm spike on this.
Looking there, we had Papenfuss in the opening presentation, and also Schneider's there. The German's not showing at the moment with 1 lap to go. So now Machado looking as though she's actually making a bit of a move here and surging. She's grimacing. Battocletti covering it. Schlabas now clearly starting to struggle a little bit. Dudak, having come through what appeared to be a slightly bad patch, is alongside Lucan. Nothing really to choose between the first 4, but Schlabas starting to drop back. Dudak, I don't think Dudak likes the hills, but on the flats and on the downhills, she seems to be picking up the pace a lot. Dudak just slipping back. Schlabas now clearly starting to drift out of contention. Machado has clearly wound that up over the course of the last few hundred metres, but Battocletti covering everything. Battocletti looking as though she really is not going to give up that gold medal without a big fight. Machado, terrific win though, only 19 years of age, and she beat a whole host of top African athletes at one of the top Spanish cross-country meetings last month.
No, this looks like a really deliberate move for me from Machado. Like she's trying to empty everyone's tank at the top of this hill, and then it's who can hold their legs on the downhill. And I think it's a smart tactic, because you've got to drop some of these other girls. You don't want to bring someone like Schlabas into a sprint finish, not with a 2:01 800 metre PB. You don't want to be contending that on the home straight. You want to burn them off before you get there.
Well, it just crossed my mind earlier in the race. I mean, Schlabas is a super talented athlete, that goes without saying. But I was just thinking, this is not going to be the course for her because of the things that we talked about in terms of the mountain running. She, as far as I'm aware, prefers much flatter courses. And Tilburg was a flat course. There wasn't much undulation there last year when she got the silver medal. Yes, it was sticky underfoot and it was heavy going underfoot. But I've got the feeling that hills aren't her forte. As we look now, well, Dudak now quite a bit of distance starting to appear between Dudak and the leading 3. And it's Battocletti now, having just worked her way around Machado now. So Battocletti, probably about just over 500 metres of running still to go. That was a very deliberate move from Machado, and it's got it. It's certainly separated her from the people behind her, but it's now Battocletti. Father, of course, Giuliano Battocletti. He's a European junior medalist back in the 90s and competed internationally for Italy. Finished, I think, as high as in the top 20 or one of the world crosses back in, I think, the early 2000s. So now Battocletti she's seen her opportunity and moved to the front. And Machado, well, she definitely, the wheels have come off just a little bit. Lucan has edged round her.
You'd hope Machado's effort there has run herself into an individual medal, which is tremendous for a home championships.
It looks as though it's going to be the case. We saw that, although Aslihan came through very strongly in the final 500 metres. So they're now just starting to come down the hill at the far end of this park, and then they'll turn into the home straight. There you can see the main area, which includes the start and finish areas. And it's Battocletti now. She's about 150 metres away from the line. So Nadia Battocletti looks as though she's on her way to retaining her Spa European cross-country title. Nadia Battocletti is going to win for Italy. Nadia Battocletti takes gold here in Lisbon. Silver goes to Lucan of Slovenia. And then a long, long way back, but getting the cheers. It's going to be Mariana Machado, the first medal for Portugal in an individual race here in Lisbon. As we just look at a recap of the race, and this is the finishing straight. And Nadia Battocletti coming through to retain her Spa European cross-country title.
So right to the front is Nadia Battocletti of Italy. And this is an athlete who could well have been challenging for the gold medal in the senior race. And she is the junior race winner from the last two editions of the European cross country. And she is so far and away the gold medal favourite here that she is probably the biggest favourite of the entire roster of 7 races. So at the front there, not just Nadia Battocletti, but obviously we see Sarah Healy in a really nice position, just obviously recognising that if any move to the front is going to be made in terms of a breakaway, the likely athlete to make that move is Battocletti. And Sarah Healy, I think, possibly wants to be involved. Certainly Clara Lucan, who defeated actually Battocletti to win the European Under-20 title in 2019, has the credentials to be silver or bronze, no doubt about that. But since then, since that duel that Battocletti lost, Battocletti has beaten Lucan every time. This pace, though, this race, with this group of 6 now breaking away by the looks of things, it's beginning to unfold, and the pace hasn't been hard for the first 3,000 metres. So this is possibly playing into the hands of someone with 800 metre speed, like Sarah Healy. It might be remembered, Sarah Healy beat Ciara McGeehan over 800 metres in a race in Belfast in 2018, when she was only 18 years of age. That's the class that Sarah Healy has. The fact that she can go, you can see that.
Battocletti took a tumble.
Yeah, she stayed in her feet.
And you think now, you know, the minute you hear the bell, it's like an alarm bell, if you're pardon the pun, in your head.
Yep.
And then the crowd lifts.
It's a very concerted surge. It's a very confident surge. And Sarah Healy is responding quite well. And Sarah Healy just wants to remain in touch now. Yep. It's hard to tell if Battocletti is in trouble. Yeah, but it will be a huge shock if she doesn't win this race, given the class that she has.
I can tell you Machado of Portugal is born in oil. Yeah. I can tell you that she looks to be born in oil.
And Arnado at the tail of this is definitely gone in terms of being a contender for a medal. So we're down to 5, I think. And Manon Trapp, the really surprise packet of this women's under-23 race.
Yeah, Clara Lucan is running for home. She's trying to take the sting out of these speed merchants, and she's going hard for home, out in the wall, outward in the quiet section. And it looks as if Sarah just has to recompose herself and get back on. It's beginning to pinch, it's beginning to bite. But here comes Battocletti.
So Battocletti tracking Lucan, and it's Trapp in 3rd place, and Sarah Healy back to 5th. Has that uphill section in that muddy area as they go through that shaded non-spectator area. Has that taken too much out of Sarah Healy? This is the question which is going to be answered now. She does look like it's hard. Can she just dig in, get herself close enough to that 3rd place, and feel that speed in her legs might take her past 4th and 5th and take her into a medal position? Sarah Healy in 5th. Machado and Trapp are the two athletes that she needs to keep in sight. Battocletti and Lucan. Lucan is going to be a winner here. If she beats Battocletti, it'll be a huge surprise. But Lucan and Battocletti look like they are now dueling it out for this gold medal. And has Battocletti just timed this correctly? And it's down to the two athletes that were picked out at the start of the day as being the class 2 athletes who are going for gold.
But Trapp is tough. Look at her. She just keeps rolling. Her cadence, her leg turnover, still digging deep. This is a test of attrition. It's a test of strength. It's a test of speed. It's 400 metres for the medals to be decided.
Yeah, and they're coming to this point now at this little forest on the left-hand side. Where they are now, as David said, is 400 metres from the finish. They will reach a turn in about 80 metres from here, and it's 300 to the finish, and they can see the finish line from that point. And Battocletti has, by the looks of it, timed it really well. And Sarah Healy has been tailed off from this group. And Machado, although she didn't look in great shape going into the last 1,200 metres, has found a second wind, and she has pushed herself into third. But Battocletti, she was biding her time by the looks of things, David. She has actually done exactly the right thing in terms of taking the lead when it counted on the final lap, and the Olympic 7th place finisher in the 5,000 metres, the junior championship winner in the European cross country for the last 2 iterations of the European cross country. NADIA BATTOCLETTI of Italy, with about 30, 40, 50 metres to go to the line, is going to take the gold medal, a 3rd European cross-country gold medal for NADIA BATTOCLETTI. Why did we ever doubt her? It's victory, and it's clear victory. Clara Lucan takes the silver, and Machado of Portugal will take the bronze. So the victory went to NADIA BATTOCLETTI of Italy. Probably a tougher race than she expected, but in the end she had 4 seconds to spare over Clara Lucan of Slovenia, with Manuela Machado of Portugal taking the bronze medal, and Sarah Healy for Ireland just outside the medals in 5th position.
NADIA BATTOCLETTI, she couldn't cross the line first today. That will be her 4th consecutive gold medal at European cross-country level.
But big question marks over Battocletti's fitness, having got glandular fever after Munich last summer and having a long break.
There really are questions. You have to be honest. NADIA BATTOCLETTI, shin splints, or it's hard when you look at translation of different descriptions of injuries. But NADIA BATTOCLETTI, a mid-season break with a shin injury that ruled her out, I think, of the World Championships. Decent performance in Munich.
Battocletti and Megan Keith here, beginning to widen that gap on Sarah Healy, and I'd like to see Megan Keith here just test Battocletti. I know I said it a few minutes ago, but I don't want Battocletti to be given undue respect if her fitness is suspect, and there's only one way of finding that out.
And is that the end of 2 long laps? So halfway through in this under-23 women's race, and that second lap has just blown the field apart. Apologies, they're not quite finished this second lap. I did think, before looking at this race, that if it went how I expected, it'd be Megan Keith pushing on, NADIA BATTOCLETTI the only one that could live with her, and then we'd see what happens through the latter stages. But it's halfway through, and already for me the 2 pre-event favourites, toe for toe. The defending champion NADIA BATTOCLETTI of Italy trying to take a home gold here in Italy. Megan Keith, last year's under-20 champion, leaping up into this older age group and looking very much at home. I think NADIA BATTOCLETTI won the race up the hill on the previous lap. She did push through the flat section, and then Megan Keith managed to get back on terms on the downhill. But if it was going to come down to a sprint finish, you'd have to look at NADIA BATTOCLETTI. She's got that track speed, 14:46, 7th at the Olympic Games in 2021. And I think we can start to see what could be a definitive gap opening up. Megan Keith just starting to grind it out a tiny bit. As she looks over her shoulder, she'll see some great performances from her teammates.
Well, the team standings after 3 laps: Great Britain, Italy and France, Spain in 4th, Germany in 5th. Great Britain outstanding with the lead they've got, but outstanding at the moment is Battocletti, Hannah, because that is now becoming a decisive gap. She's really turned the screw over this last 100 metres or so, where they take this little dog leg and then head into the hill. That 10-metre gap could well be decisive. Well, she is the real deal, isn't she, NADIA BATTOCLETTI? And to be fair, She is so supreme by going by a championship racing record. Maybe at 90% fitness she's still better. Megan Keith has run 15:53. I mean, she's over a minute slower at 5,000. That is a huge margin. She's got a great engine, as Batocletti. She moves. She moves well. She's got a lovely, relaxed style, and she's opened up 60 metres over the last 90 seconds. I mean, that is a huge gap. Brilliant running from Megan Keith now, who surely has secured a medal. Looks to be the silver. Let's not count our eggs, chickens before they're hatched, as Batocletti negotiates that awkward little left-hand turn.
Batocletti looking every bit the cross-country specialist, skipping down these hills, but she is gasping for air. She will have put in a humongous effort up that hill to bridge this gap, but it does look like it could be a 4th successive gold medal for Nadia Batocletti. We've already seen a gold medal for the Italians on the mixed relay. That was sensational. It was dramatic. It came down to the closing few metres, but Nadia Batocletti has put on an exhibition round this final circuit, and in the end it's going to be a convincing victory ahead of Great Britain and Northern Ireland's Megan Keith. Nadia Batocletti, hopefully a moment to relax and enjoy, and there's the smile and there's the wave. Big pressure on this young woman's shoulders, and she has delivered here in Piemonte La Mandria Park, a 4th consecutive gold medal for Italy's Nadia Batocletti.
Batocletti quite supreme on the day. Another gold medal, 2nd gold for Italy. 13 seconds that winning margin eventually, Hannah.
I'm really impressed with Nadia Batocletti. She would have had every excuse under the sun not to make the start line today, and that for me is a sign of a true champion, to put yourself on the line when things haven't gone your way in the past few months. She's had major disappointments. There she is with Stefano May, and she will be, I think, probably equal measures relieved and happy with that gold medal. Now underway, it's penultimate race here at the European Cross Country Championships. Nadia Batocletti not giving anything to chance. She's chosen to stand in the middle of the field, and she's going to try and get herself in a good position before they take this sharp left-hand turn. There's a splinter group though over on the other side, just perhaps slightly ahead of Batocletti. Is that where Yasmin Chan is? The local camera will definitely focus in on Yasmin Chan. She loves to run hard, she loves to test the field, and I think Batocletti will be ready for that. At the moment, Machado leading the way for the Portuguese team. Man on track. Well, have a look. They're just coming towards the end of this lap. It was 8 seconds on the first lap, but you kind of feel like Chan and Batocletti are getting organised there a little bit, because you can see this chase pack spreading out a little bit. Moringa, the Romanian, trying to stay involved, in Sarah Lati. I do think that's a good pick though, Tim. I think the Swede could have a good day today. Trapp has slowed slightly on that first lap, 5 minutes for the previous lap, 5:07 there, and that probably means that Batocletti and Moringa and Chan, they're moving at the same pace, because they've made up around about 7 or 8 seconds on Man and Trapp. So unfortunately the Frenchwoman is slowing slightly, and we really hope she can rally now as these three pull up alongside it. So just 2 laps to go, around about 3 kilometres in this senior women's race. Batocletti looks in control. She looks smooth. She won a race, one of the cross-country races earlier on in the year, by a huge margin. It was some 75 seconds on the circuit in Europe. There are lots of well-established cross-country races, and Batocletti still very much in the midst of her university degree. She studies at the University of Trento, had an exam on Thursday, but these exams she always has around this time of year, they never seem to dampen her ability to perform, and she looks smooth so far, Tim, and I wonder if we might see Yasmin Chan and Moringa with their in this penultimate lap try and do something, especially Moringa with that marathon strength. So Batocletti is trying to become the first woman to win all 3 titles. Andrea Lally, Italian man, is the only person ever to have done it. So Batocletti trying to join elite company with another Italian. And I don't know, she looks pretty good for my money, Tim. She's gliding across the mud, has the luxury of choosing the best path that she wants there. And that, to me, that shows that an athlete is relaxed and they've got enough poise to position themselves. And look at the gap she's opened up in, around about 800 metres. She's torn away from Klosterhalfen. Yasmin Chan working hard. Moringa and the Dutch woman Jana van Lent, they're going to have to put in a mammoth effort if they want to get on the podium. That could be the first ever individual medal for a Belgian woman, but you feel like Chan in front of a home crowd will hold on. But Batocletti
She has mastered this European Championship. She was wonderful as a junior. She led her Italian team to a junior gold medal on the team side. And last time we checked, the Italian women were in the gold medal position here in the senior race. Battocletti with a small smile on her face. She does it. She completes the set. Junior champion, under 23 champion, and now senior European cross-country champion. Battocletti came so close last year, had to give way to Grovdale, but today gold goes to Battocletti. NADIA BATTOCLETTI is a wonderful role model for any other athletes out there, that there's a narrative that you have to only do your sport, and that doesn't suit everybody. Sometimes it's nice to have something away from the track or away from the muddy field. And look at that. I think NADIA BATTOCLETTI has just led Italy to a team gold medal by a small margin there. 3 points the difference between Italy and Germany.
Hi, I'm NADIA BATTOCLETTI. Sign up now to the European Athletics YouTube channel.